Welcome to World Prism. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. US-China relations have reached a critical juncture, with the world's attention fixed on every move and statement from both sides, as President Trump and President Xi prepare for a high-stakes summit. In late October 2025, anticipation and uncertainty fill the air. The world is watching closely as both sides seek to ease tensions over tariffs and technology, hoping for a breakthrough that could stabilize global markets. At the center of the standoff are US restrictions on Nvidia chip sales and Chinese threats to energy deals, issues that have far-reaching consequences for both economies. Washington faces a dilemma. Should it protect its technological edge at all costs, or prioritize billions in potential sales to China, risking long-term dominance for short-term gain? The economic stakes are enormous, with trade and investment flows hanging in the balance. Meanwhile, Beijing's leverage as a top energy consumer looms large, giving China significant influence over global energy markets. The threat of cutting US energy deals serves as a powerful bargaining chip, one that could reshape the energy landscape for years to come. Any misstep could trigger a cascade of retaliatory measures, escalating tensions and sending shockwaves through the global economy. The impact would be felt not just in trade, but across the global energy market, affecting prices and supply chains worldwide. This summit is more than a trade negotiation. It's a test of whether the two powers can find common ground and cooperate in an increasingly complex world. Or are they destined for a prolonged rivalry that could define the next decade of international politics? The outcome will shape not only the flow of goods and capital, but also the rules of engagement for future global competition. Ultimately, the decisions made here will influence the future of international relations and the stability of the world order. The global energy market is caught in the crossfire, with investors and nations bracing for potential disruptions. As the world's two largest economies redefine their relationship, the ripple effects will be felt far beyond their borders. The stakes have never been higher, and the world waits to see what the future holds. America's transformation into a global energy exporter has reshaped its foreign policy, giving it new leverage on the world stage. But escalating tensions with China threaten this advantage, as Beijing was once a top buyer of US oil and gas. A Chinese pullback would force US producers to scramble for new markets, likely at lower prices, disrupting investment and jobs. The Trump administration's confrontational trade tactics have created uncertainty, making long-term planning difficult for energy companies. Industry leaders now debate diversify exports to Europe and Asia, or seek a more stable relationship with China. The answer will determine the future of America's energy sector and its global influence. The stakes are high, not just for profits, but for America's role as an energy superpower. The path forward will require balancing economic opportunity with geopolitical risk. The world is watching to see which strategy prevails. China, the world's largest energy consumer, has long relied on imports to fuel its growth. To secure its future, Beijing is diversifying suppliers, investing in renewables, and building strategic reserves. While China pushes for cleaner energy, natural gas and oil remain essential for now. Trade friction with the US has accelerated China's search for alternatives, strengthening ties with Russia and OPEC+. Any move to cut US energy deals would be a strategic signal, not just an economic one. China is prepared to absorb short-term pain for long-term autonomy. The message to Washington: China has options and isn't afraid to use them. This shift turns energy trade from a point of cooperation into a new front in the US-China rivalry. The global energy landscape is being redrawn in real time. A sharp drop in US energy exports to China would hit American companies hard, threatening jobs and investment across the sector. The effects would ripple far beyond oil rigs and refineries, reaching into the heart of communities that rely on the energy industry for their livelihoods. Billions invested in Gulf Coast LNG terminals and pipelines could be at risk, with ripple effects on manufacturing, logistics, and local economies. The uncertainty could stall future projects, slow down hiring, and force companies to reconsider expansion plans. The trade deficit would widen, the dollar could weaken, and financial markets would likely react with volatility. Investors may grow cautious, and the broader economy could feel the strain as confidence wavers. States like Texas and Louisiana, dependent on energy exports, would feel the brunt, impacting communities, tax revenues, and small businesses. Local governments could face budget shortfalls, and families might struggle as job opportunities dry up. The political fallout could be severe, pressuring lawmakers to resolve the dispute or bail out affected industries. Public frustration could mount, fueling protests and heated debates in Congress. America's reputation as a reliable supplier would suffer, making other buyers wary of long-term deals. Competitors could seize the opportunity to fill the gap, shifting global alliances. Trust, once lost, is hard to regain, potentially undermining U.S. influence in global energy markets. The consequences could echo for years, affecting future negotiations and partnerships. The short-term pain could lead to a long-term, strategic setback. Recovery would require not just economic adjustments, but also rebuilding relationships and confidence. The energy standoff is more than an economic issue. It's a test of America's credibility. The world is watching to see if the U.S. can navigate these challenges and emerge stronger. The world is watching how the U.S. responds, and the outcome will shape not only the energy sector, but America's standing on the global stage. Energy has become the new battleground in the U.S.-China rivalry, with global alliances shifting as a result. The competition for resources is no longer just about economics, it's about influence, security, and the power to shape the world's future. As energy demand grows, so does the importance of controlling its flow. America's energy exports have strengthened its alliances, providing leverage and deepening ties with partners around the globe. But a breakdown with China could signal waning U.S. influence, potentially undermining the trust and cooperation that have defined recent years. China, meanwhile, is using its buying power to forge new partnerships, especially with Russia, deepening a potential Sino-Russian axis. This growing partnership is not just about energy, it's about building a counterweight to U.S. dominance. Middle Eastern producers like Saudi Arabia are caught in the middle, balancing ties with both superpowers. Their choices could tip the scales in this global contest, as they navigate shifting allegiances and economic interests. The collapse of U.S.-China energy trade could realign interests in the region, giving producers more leverage. These nations may find new opportunities, or new risks, as they adapt to a changing landscape. When oil and gas become tools of coercion, the risk of miscalculation rises. Energy can quickly shift from a source of prosperity to a trigger for conflict, raising the stakes for everyone involved. What starts as a trade dispute could escalate into a broader strategic confrontation, with consequences that ripple across continents and industries. The world's energy markets are now a chessboard for global power politics, where every move is calculated and every resource is a potential advantage. The decisions made in Washington and Beijing will shape the future of the international order, influencing not just energy flows but the balance of power for decades to come. The stakes extend far beyond energy. They touch the very core of global stability, affecting economies, security, and the lives of billions around the world. Global energy markets are on edge as U.S.-China tensions mount, with oil prices fluctuating and traders wary of what comes next. The prospect of a trade deal offers hope, but the threat of a standoff keeps markets volatile. If China halts U.S. energy purchases, American producers could face a supply glut and falling prices, while China pays more for alternatives. This would disrupt traditional trade flows, create regional price differences, and increase costs for everyone. Experts warn that rerouting massive energy volumes is a logistical nightmare, leading to tanker shortages and port congestion. The global system, built over decades, can't be reconfigured overnight without pain. Investment in new projects is stalling as companies wait for clarity, risking future supply shortages. The market's message to policymakers' political risk is undermining energy security. Today's volatility is a direct result of geopolitical uncertainty. The world needs stability, but for now the outlook remains clouded. With energy trade at risk, the U.S. must rethink its strategy to protect both its economy and global standing. Diplomatic efforts to insulate energy from broader disputes could preserve vital export markets and keep dialogue open with Beijing. Diversifying export destinations is now essential. America can't afford to rely on a single buyer. This means forging new deals with Europe, Southeast Asia, and Latin America, backed by strong diplomatic engagement. At home, investing in next-generation energy, like fusion, hydrogen, and storage, will secure America's future leadership. Partnerships such as NVIDIA's work with the Department of Energy show the way forward. The crisis is a wake-up call. Economic interdependence can be a vulnerability. U.S. energy policy must be built on resilience, innovation, and diversification. The choices made now will determine whether America emerges stronger or weaker from this challenge. The world is watching to see if the U.S. can turn crisis into opportunity.